Starvation is homing in on Gaza's most vulnerable. 6-year-old Youssef and 4-year-old Amir have cerebral palsy and are fading away. Their mother, who has 3 other children, can no longer get hold of enough milk and the soft foods these boys rely on for sustenance. She says that she has had to stop trying to force feed them with substitute food because they can't keep it down, and that's a waste when their siblings also need to eat. Our lives have become primitive and we can't provide for them. I wish more than anything the war would stop so my children could get help. This war is destroying them, she said. But if Israeli media reports are right, the war will expand, with the Prime Minister meeting new army recruits today, apparently poised to order the IDF to occupy all of Gaza. It seems Mr. Netanyahu will double down on an aggressive strategy that has failed to free any living Israeli hostages, failed to defeat Hamas, and led to starvation among the civilian population. The handful of food distribution sites that Gazans flock to pre-dawn are inadequate and deadly, with the IDF regularly firing at the crowds. 20-year-old Ahmed was shot in the head at one such site and is now malnourished and paralyzed. Paralysis is also preventing any progress towards a ceasefire, and that was underlined today by a rare statement from the leader of Egypt, which has been mediating between the two sides. President Sisi broke his silence to condemn Israel. This war has long since surpassed any logic or justification and has become a war of starvation, genocide, and also the liquidation of the Palestinian cause, he said. The chorus of international condemnation may be getting louder, but it seems the Israeli government just isn't listening. John Irvine, ITV News, Tel Aviv.
Last night we showed you pictures we'd filmed which highlighted the widespread devastation inflicted on Gaza by Israel's military. In this shot alone, among the destroyed buildings was the only cancer specialist hospital in Gaza, a nursing home and a school across the road. 3 civilian sites barely left standing, with countless others turned to rubble. And to give you a sense of what's been lost since the war began, this is what that same area looked like before the destruction. We showed our pictures to the Home Secretary earlier, and she told us they were devastating. Our political correspondent, Shihab Khan, is in Westminster this evening, and Shihab, haunting images of the scale of the destruction there.
Yeah, absolutely, Lucrezia. I think haunting is the right word. And just to repeat what we said yesterday, as you've just said, ITV News broadcast what can only be described as eye-opening images of the current situation in Gaza. It's worth remembering that journalists are banned from entering Gaza, but this aerial footage that ITV News managed to capture gives you an idea of the damage and destruction that has taken place since the conflict began. The images convey what words simply can't. You see building after building that has been turned to rubble, many of which are people's homes. And it's hard to imagine, but there are Palestinians still living in there now, trying to survive in what remains. And this morning we spoke to the Home Secretary and showed her these images, and this was her response to them.
Well, those are the most devastating images, and to see that scale of destruction across Gaza. Of course, we have also seen the terrible images of malnutrition among children, and we've seen the really disturbing images of some of the hostages still being held. So it shows really why it is so urgent that we get the ceasefire.
And she went on to say that it was also urgent to get humanitarian assistance into the region and that there's a need for a proper plan, not just around a recognition of a Palestinian state, but also to ensure there is a long-lasting peace and to make sure the hostages are freed. In recent weeks, the government ministers have shifted their tone on this quite dramatically. They've all been a lot more critical of Israel in particular and about the aid that is struggling to get through into the region. But the big question remains, what can countries like the UK and the West do to facilitate a ceasefire and ensure there's peace and stop the suffering of the people in that region?